etc. are discussed in this particular aspect. In lesson 9, it was about Shraddha, as we have seen, which next in this ladder leads to Sadhu Sang and Bhajan Kriya. So, in this, the three aspects are important: the awakening of Shraddha or faith. Next is Sadhu Sang or association of saintly personalities. And the third one, that is Bhajan Kriya or the practice of devotion. So, post break, we have seen that the removal of inauspiciousness and attainment of auspiciousness, Shubhada, how it is, and the awakening of Shraddha or faith. So, in this, there are two types of Shraddha. One, it is natural, that is Svabhaviki, and the second one, that is forcibly induced, that is being called as Laukik Shraddha. So what is basically Shraddha? So Shraddha, it is Shastrartha Vishwas, the unflinching faith in the scriptures, that is being called as Shraddha. So dispelling of doubt and establishing of faith in the heart is called as Shraddha. And the two characteristics, unflinching faith in devotional scriptures and reverent desire to engage in sadhana bhakti. So we studied how Shraddha develops in the heart, that is by sadhu sang, and the sequence in which Shraddha is attained by those in whom whether taste or reasoning is prominent. So Shraddha is the firm conviction by rendering transcendental loving service to lotus feet of Lord. Yes. So how it can be awakened. So this phrase was given by His Grace Charuchandra Prabhuji, that in the association of pure devotees, discussing the pastime of the Lord, the activities of Supreme Personality of Godhead, when it is being pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one can gradually become advanced on the path of liberation and thereafter is freed and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begins. So it has been also referred in Bhakti Sandarbha that when the devotee gets an ruchi or taste in hearing Krishna Katha, so it leads to the path of bhakti. So then the stage of sadhu sang or the association of saintly personalities, it includes the three topics, the qualifications and the four symptoms of a sadhu. So how one can understand about a sadhu, the person is. Then the three limbs that complete the process of Guru Padashray. And then receiving instructions of Bhajan Kriya and Vaishnav Sadachar. In Bhajan Kriya, that is performing the practices of devotion, there are two types. One is unsteady and steady, that is Anishtit and Nishrit Bhajan Kriya. And there are 6 types of Anishtita or unsteady and their sequence. So in today's lesson 10, we will see in detail about this 2 stages on the bhakti process. One is sadhu sang and second is bhajan kriya. Will be dealt in much detail in this lesson 10 today. So over to you, His Grace Charuchandra. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Mataji. For the way you do it. So, instruction that included the one.
Sorry, Prabhuji, તમારો અવાજ બહુ બ્રેક થાય છે.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So I'll turn off the video screen. This slide ended with that. and I'm showing you again because it says that qualification, the 4 symptoms of sadhu. We already started with lesson 8, 9, 10 on. Very, very important lesson that Sharad Prabhu is going to start from next week onwards. Lesson 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And these 8 lessons, very, very important lessons that we conducted by Sharad Prabhuji. So it's lessons 8, 9, 10 sets the tone. Very, very important lessons. And that's the reason I've taken it over. As you can see, so this thing, first and foremost, we know that sadhu sangha. Shraddha, first 3 steps of the 9 progressive stages from Shraddha to Prema. So Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, and Bhajana Kriya. These 3 important steps that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the author of Madhurya Kadambhini, plays a very heavy stress on that we must clearly understand that. And Shraddha, the faith that we have already established that. Now, also I told you the devotee association, hopefully senior devotees, associating with him, there is the lifeblood of bhakti process at every step that works like watering our Navada Bhakti Bija. The Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur uses the analogy of a Bhakti Lata Vraksha. You prepare the field of the heart in which you are going to plant the seed of Navada Bhakti, the 9-fold devotional service. The most important step of that is chanting the holy name, hopefully without any offenses, and then watering it through sadhu sangha, associate devotees, and so on like that. And then the Bhakti Lata Bij sprouts and germinates, and the first 2 leaves comes off, and that is the 6 characteristics of pure bhakti sets. One is klesha, all the material desires gets eliminated, and subhata, that means that there it all our viciousness. The other 4 that will become apparent as we move on onto the Bhakti Lata Vraksha. So we have already established Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur already established the sadhu sangha is very important. So now the question is involved, lesson 10. What are the qualifications? How do we know that we have got the right sadhu? And what are the 4 symptoms such an advanced Vaishnava which better we will take? Okay. And then there are 3 links, and that complete the process of Guru Padashraya. Guru Pada means feet of Guru, going to take us in Bhajana Kriya or the Bhajana process, devotional service. So there are 3 links of that we will see that. So all this is the way we are going to hear the answers to this thing, and then receiving instructions. How are we going to engage ourselves in the process, in the Bhajana Kriya, and also Guru teaches us what ought to be our behavior. Vishnu self, sadachara. And then Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur discusses the Bhajana Kriya. So there are 2 types of Bhajana Kriya. One called Anishtata, that means unsteady. In the beginning, a devotee is not steady. But then, so there are 6 kinds of that Anishta or unsteady devotional service, unsteady Bhajana Kriya. And then Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives us the instruction how to engage ourselves in steady devotional service. So this is what we are going to focus in lesson 10. All right. Now we get to the lesson 10. Okay. So here.
હરે કૃષ્ણ પ્રભુજી તમારા માઇક્રોફોન ચેક કરો ને પ્લીઝ પ્રભુજી અવાજ ક્લિયર નથી આવતો બહુ લો અવાજ છે અને એકદમ બ્રેક થાય છે પ્રભુજી
You can suggest what should I do?
તમારા હેડફોન માં બરાબર છે કે નહીં જરાક ચેક કરી લો ને હેડફોન તમારું જે પહેર્યું છે ને એમાં વોઇસ બરાબર ક્લિયર નથી આવતો પ્રભુજી
Voice is also breaking.
Anybody expert in this IT? Anybody expert here can guide me? What should I do? Anybody? My video screen also.
Where you see the mic button near the Zoom, just
Yes, Sanjeev, what should I do?
yeah. Which mic do you have? Do you have the one with the proper headset and the pen? Prabhu, can you hear me, Prabhu?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I'm checking all the connections.
Mhm. You need to change or update the mic in the Zoom if you are not using the system or computer mic.
Sharat Prabhuji? Haribol, Sharat Prabhuji?
I think now it is clear.
પ્રભુજી
Sharat Prabhuji, can you hear me? Sharat
It is
Prabhuji,
clear
can you
now.
hear?
Yes,
Sharat
yes,
Prabhuji, can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you.
Looks like something is not working at my end. Can you take it over?
Your voice
No,
is
now this was better. Like maybe it's a distance. The last few lines you said were very clear, loud, and
હા યસ પ્રભુજી
non-breaking. So maybe just maintain
I
that.
didn't do anything. Okay. So
Just
now,
maintain that space here.
you hear me now. Haribol, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Did you hear that? Haribol, did you hear that, everyone?
Yes, Prabhuji, we are able to hear.
Okay. So now we are going to see the
Yes,
answers
this was very clear. Yeah.
to what we raised those questions, right? So here, if you see here, it's the Sadhu Sangha association with saintly personalities. This is text B. So he says, therefore, any person who seriously desires real happiness must seek a bona fide spiritual master. That is absolute necessity. Okay. And then take shelter, Padashraya, by taking initiations. You have a Diksha Guru, and then there is also a Shiksha Guru. The qualification of the bona fide Guru is that he has realized, now listen very carefully, what a bona fide Guru ought to be. He should be realized in the conclusions of the scriptures, very well known about the scriptures by deliberation, and is able to convince others of these conclusions. Okay, so that's number one. And such great personalities who have taken shelter of the Supreme Godhead, so he should be a topmost devotee. Okay, so that is the second qualification. And leaving aside all material considerations, so he should have complete control of his material senses. That's why he is a Goswami, the controller of his senses, and should be understood. So these are the three qualifications required. Okay, so here is the mention, same issue is mentioned here the qualification and what are the 4 symptoms. So he should be well versed. So this is a repeat of what we just saw it up in this first box. He's well versed in Srimad Bhagavatam, okay, and other devotional scriptures like Chaitanya Charitamrita, can dispel the doubts of his disciples. If he's not able to do that, then he's not a bona fide guru. And he should be Bhagavan realized, not just Brahman realized, Paramatma realized, but the complete realization that is called Bhagavan realization. With unflinching faith, unwavering faith, and solid determination. And he is the recipient of Bhagavan's mercy. He is fully empowered, just like Srila Prabhupada, and is capable of infusing to his disciple that very same potency. So this is really very, very important to note that. Not only himself is the recipient of Bhagavan's mercy, but the same mercy he should be able to transmit to his disciples. And the 4th one, he is in complete control of his senses. It means he's not bothered about lusty leanings, greed, and anger, or all the such lowly impulses. Okay, this anger aspect we'll discuss a little bit more later on. Third, what are the 3 limbs that complete the process of Guru Padashraya? When we take shelter of the Guru, what really does it mean exactly? So we should surrender, full surrender, just like we want to fully surrender to Krishna. And Guru is the Pratinidhi. He is the medium, link between us and Shri Krishna. So he is the via medium. Okay. So just as we surrender to Krishna, we must totally surrender unconditionally to our Guru. Okay. That is called Guru Padashraya, taking shelter of his lotus feet, receiving initiation, formal initiation, okay, into the Krishna mantra, the Diksha mantra. In our ISKCON, we get first the Harinam mantra. What is that Harinam mantra? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. So in ISKCON, a minimum of 1 year we should chant Hare Krishna to get a necessary purification. Then Guru initiates the second initiation, that is called the Gayatri mantra initiation. Then the third component, serving the spiritual master with full faith and intimacy. That is the problem, intimacy. That's the real problem we have, because in ISKCON currently, many Diksha Gurus, 10,000 plus disciples. So obviously we cannot have that kind of intimacy. So same potency is also transmitted to Siksha Guru, who is our local temple area that we are constantly in touch with. That any problems we develop, we take shelter of Siksha Guru and Diksha Guru. Both give the same instructions. Okay? When Diksha Guru gives Diksha, he gives us the potency, he links us with the Supreme. That's what Diksha Guru does that actually. He links us, but then continued linkage is maintained by we need a Siksha Guru constantly, with whom we consult all the time. He's available to us. Whenever we get into difficulties, and Siksha Guru is only one. A Siksha Guru can be many. But the important point is that we must have a close intimacy. The intimacy is provided by a Siksha Guru. And finally, receiving instructions of Bhajana Kriya, how exactly we should engage in this Bhajana Kriya, the powerful, potent process. And then Vaishnava Sadacharya, how should we behave as a Vaishnava, how should we conduct ourselves? And then I put it in the yellow boxes. They are very important instructions. So here Diksha is explained first. Diksha or initiation is the process. Now listen very, very carefully, okay? There's a critical thinking involved here. I'm going to ask you a question at the end of the class. Let's see if you can answer satisfactorily this question, okay? Diksha is the process. Listen very carefully again. Diksha is the process by which one awakens one's transcendental knowledge. That is Sambandha Jnana. Who are we? Who is Krishna? And what is our relationship with Krishna? And that destroys all sin that we discuss at length, right? Prarabdha karma and aprarabdha karma. That is fructified, that we are presently suffering, and that we committed sins but not yet experienced the sinful reactions. But nonetheless, sinful reaction has not begun, but its preliminary actions, its preliminary effect we are experiencing, like kutam. Kutam means proclivity, tendency to be honest, dishonest, or lies. And if opportunity is presented, then we will exactly suffer those reactions. So that's what kutam, proclivity, tendency to speak lies, be act dishonestly, like that. And then there's a bijam, the seed, of that that is not yet germinated. Okay, so these are the parts of aprarabdha karma. These are all being abolished by engaging in bhajana kriya. So this is at the root. A learned person who understands Bhagavad Tattva calls this process Diksha. So this is what the Diksha is all about. So our Diksha Guru established the link between us and Shri Krishna through the medium of the Diksha Guru. Very important Diksha Guru. Very important role he plays at the time of Diksha. He gives us a generic instructions, chant Hare Krishna, minimum of 16 raps every day without fail. And then he gives a critical instruction which is tailor-made to our very nature, our swabhava. Like for me, he gave me specific instruction. The Charachandra, I want you to learn Shastra, and then after you learn, teach others. The learning process never ends. Okay? So whatever you learn, you teach to others. And that's what I've been doing for the last 25 years. On my own, I could not do it. Without his mercy, without his empowerment, there's no way I could have done all these 25 years. And then look at this one. When the devotee fully surrenders to his Guru, at the time of receiving Diksha, Shri Krishna, now listen very extremely carefully, because this is where the critical thinking is overall. And I'm going to ask the question at the end of the class, see if you can answer that, okay? What does it say that? What is Diksha? The purpose of Diksha? When the devotee fully surrenders to his Guru, at the time of receiving Diksha, Shri Krishna makes him as spiritual as himself. Okay, look at that. He becomes spiritualized. That means three modes of material nature which should not be acting on us. Right? Thus permitting our body, even the modes of material nature are there, but they no longer act as we seek this shelter, Guru Padashraya, and engage ourselves in Bhajana Kriya. Then what happens? Thus permeating the devotee's body with transcendence. What it means transcendence? Beyond the influence of the three modes of material nature. Because we are taking our face, our whole senses, directly serving the Lord under the guidance of the bona fide Diksha Guru. Okay? And Diksha Guru said, and Shiksha Guru is also included. Shiksha Guru does not say anything at all, whatever Diksha Guru says. And only through Diksha Guru's permission, we take shelter of the Shiksha Guru. Okay? And there could be many. So thus permeating, what is by permeation? It spread all over body. Devotee's body with transcendence, complete getting freedom from the three modes of material nature and bliss. team Shanti, bliss, happiness, with his spiritual body. The devotee then worship Krishna's lotus feet. Hope you noticed that, right? And now I'm going to ask the question. The topic of this lesson 10 is what? Those anishtita bhakti, right? So how do we anishtita bhakti? If we become pure spiritualized at the time of Diksha, that is my question. Okay? So keep that question in your mind and see if you can come up with a satisfactory answer, all of you. Okay, so here, now Bhajana Kriya we are going to discuss, and there are two types of Bhajana Kriya, or Nishtita, Nishta Bhakti, opposite of Anishta Bhakti, and then there is a Nishta Bhakti or steadiness. So in Anishta Bhakti, how do we characterize? There is no chance of one's performance of Bhakti slackening. Nishta Bhakti, steadiness. When you have steadiness, these are the symptoms that we perform our Bhakti without stopping, continuous. Tesham satata yuktanam. Nor is there any aberration without any force in it. But when there is an unsteady Bhakti, then these risks remain. Okay? So there are 6 types of unsteady Bhakti and their particular sequence, 1 through 6. Okay? So that is description is right given here, overall description. Then we will actually go in greater details. So again, my question to you: at the time of Diksha, our body is spiritualized as Krishna himself. Okay, total bliss. Then how come we get into the unsteady bhakti? That's my question. Among the ways of executing devotional service, the 9 prescribed methods of Navada Bhakti are the best. That Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, when he describes the Bhakti Lata Vriksha, that he talks about the Navada Bhakti, the the seed of Navada Bhakti is planted in our heart. Okay? An ecstatic love for him. Of the 9 processes of devotional service, the most important is always chanting the holy name. Okay? Nam Sankirtana. If one does so, avoiding the 10 kinds of offenses, that is the Shuddha Nama. Okay? One very easily obtains the most valuable love of Godhead, Krishna Prema. It is the ultimate fruit of that Bhakti Lata Vriksha that we talked about. So after hearing this, so these instructions were given to Sanatana Goswami from none other than Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You could now understand, Sanatana Goswami, my decision to commit suicide has not been greatly appreciated by Sri Chaitanya Prabhu. In fact, that is given in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells him that your own body, Sanatana Goswami tells, your own body is not yours, it's now. You have taken initiation from me. It is your body I possess. So you cannot die like that. You know? Okay, what are the 6 types of unsteady devotional service? And this is in a particular sequence that happens. Utsahamayi, filled with enthusiasm, based on overconfidence, which is thus feeble and short-lived. So, remember that verse, nectar of instruction, what's that? Utsahan nishya dhairya tat karma pravarta. That is recommended enthusiasm, right? But here we are talking about over enthusiasm, excessive enthusiasm, and that could have a detrimental effect. Then we can develop overconfidence, and then it is short-lived, and we constantly seek the praise from others. They have devotion, they have initiation. We think, no, it's great now, and we seek praise from others. That is the summary. And then, second, Dhana tarala. Dhana means dense, tarala means easy. So thick and thin. What is thick and thin? Or irresolute, sporadic endeavors in devotion. Sometimes we are really being in devotion service, but it doesn't last long enough. Then we slow down. And sometimes we even stop it. So that is a typical signs of such a devotee whose bhakti is steady. Then third, Vyuda Vikalpa. Remember, all this thing we are going to discuss at much greater level. This is the overview preview of the 6 kinds of unsteadiness. Vyuda Vikalpa means indecisiveness. All the doubts, you oscillate with doubts, alternatives, doubts completely excelling one's result. So, you want to do something good, but still when doubts arise in the mind whether I'm doing good or not. Then fourth, Vishaya Sadhara means battle with desire for worldly sense objects and temptation. It's a bit of the influence of the modes of material nature. But we already learned that the time of Diksha, we are completed in transcendental platform. Here is my question: how could that be? How do we answer that? We look at that these things happen as the modes of material nature reacting on ourselves, even though we have already taken the shelter of the Guru's lotus feet, and we are engaged in devotional service. But this is unsteady. With Niyama Akshama, inability to uphold vows. Guru says, chant 60 rounds of Pidam mantra, right? And we are unable to do that regularly. We don't seem to complete 16 rounds in a given day. Okay? So unable to uphold vows or the 4 regulatory principles, we make errors in that. That last but not least is a taranga rakini. Taranga means waves. Delighting in the mundane benefits afforded by bhakti. Bhakti is important. It does give some positive elements, but we get the benefits of it, which are actually mundane. And they delight in that. And somebody like that. So my question would be, if on the time of devotion is the time of initiation, if we are spiritualized, we become transcendental. How come this 6 bhajana develops? And then we are again under the influence of the 3 modes of material nature. My question. How we study service. So,
I'm losing you, not able to hear you clearly, Chandra Prabhuji. I don't know if others have same problem or it's only me.
Yes, Prabhuji. Once again, it
Yeah.
Sharat Prabhuji, please take it over.
Yeah. Sir Prabhu's voice is breaking up.
I
Me
give
too.
up. Sharat Prabhuji, take it over. Sharat Prabhuji, did you hear me? Sharat Prabhuji, did you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Prabhuji.
Please take it over.
Okay, let me show the slide. Prabhuji, we are on which number slide? Can
24 number.
24. Okay. Okay, I'll continue from where Prabhuji has left. Now, here we are talking of Anishtita Bhajan Kriya or unsteady devotional service. Now, can everybody hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, we are talking of Anishtita Bhajan Kriya. Now, what is this Anishtita Bhajan Kriya? The various things given in the various verses. In verse 6, that is the text 6, it discusses about the Utsahamai, which is filled.
Prabhuji's screen is not shared.
Okay. I'll just share the screen in the other. Just give me the 2 minutes time. I'll.
Yeah, place it. That is 23. Slide number 23.
Okay, just hold on a minute. Now, can you see the slide now?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Just a second. Yeah. Now everybody can see the slide clearly.
Yes, Prabhu. We are able to see. Thank you.
Okay. Now we are talking about Anishtita Bhajan Kriya or unsteady devotional service. That is devotional service which is not steady. That means there are interruptions and it is we are not able to do it properly. Then what are the various points, what are the various problem areas that we will be seeing in this. The first one is Utsahamai. Utsahamai means filled with short-lived enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is there, to chant the name of the Lord, but that is very short-lived. It goes after some time. Then Ghanatarala, thick and thin or irresolute endeavor. That means sometimes enthusiasm is there and sometimes it goes away. That is sometimes resolute and sometimes irresolute. Then the third thing is the Vyudha Vikalpa, that is oscillation between resolve and doubt. The doubts coming into the mind, one is not very sure what is happening. That means he is totally confused. Then the next is bhakti does not arise from renunciation. Rather, true renunciation arises from bhakti. This is very important. Somebody may say that I want to do bhakti, that's why I will renounce everything, I will go to the Himalayas. It does not happen that way. Actually, renunciation, it arises from bhakti only. Bhakti is the first stage. We have to go from bhakti only, and not that we have to renounce and then do bhakti. If somebody does that, he will not be successful at all because he is not following the correct scriptural injunctions. Then the next thing is Vishaya Sangraha, or battling attachment to the objects of the senses. There are objects of the senses, and if we get attached to them, then that is going to be a great obstacle in our path of devotional service. Then Niyamakshama, that is inability to uphold the vows. There are so many vows like in this here in ISKCON. There are so many vows, the four basic principles we are following. We are chanting and we have promised to chant minimum 16 rounds a day. We have promised not to eat anything which is not offered to the Lord. Like this, there are so many vows, and the individual is not able to follow them as he has taken vow. Then Taranga Ragini, that is delighting in the mundane benefits awarded by bhakti. In our subsequent lessons, we will learn how bhakti also becomes an obstacle, and this is one of them. And there are so many things will come to you, and those are very mundane. Like one of the examples is prestige in the society. Prestige will increase because of bhakti, but if it comes and lives in our heart, then it becomes an obstacle. We should be very careful about this. And then we'll go about these details. And this is given this famous creeper of bhakti. It starts from Adav Shraddha up till Prema, Krishna Prema. And as I told you, this creeper, it is taking place, it is sprouting in the heart of the devotee, and it is spreading to the spiritual kingdom. It is so big, and how the journey is there and what are the various obstacles, that will be learning in due time frame. And these are the various things we saw. Utsahamai means initial enthusiasm is there. Then thereafter it goes away. Thick and thin practice. Sometimes very devotedly one practices, and thereafter he loses that the motivation. Then oscillating the resolving between this and that. Then struggling with sense enjoyment. That thing is still there in the heart, and therefore sometimes he is getting attracted toward that. That is the thing. And inability to uphold the vows, the various vows we have taken in front of the spiritual master, that we are not able to follow. Then enjoying mundane benefits of bhakti. These are the various things. Now we will see them in greater detail. So each one of them. Now, Utsahamai means filled with short-lived enthusiasm. That means the enthusiasm with which one had started, like you will see somebody has come into this path of bhakti, and from the very first day, he starts chanting 16 rounds. Now, if somebody is, because I have seen such persons, if somebody has started chanting 16 rounds a day from the very first day only, then you must think that there is something wrong in this person. This enthusiasm is going to be short-lived and he will not be able to sustain this. That's why you have to run in the very beginning. You have to start chanting with 1 round, then 2 rounds, 4 rounds, 6 rounds, like this, whatever is suitable to each individual person, and then should go up to 16 rounds, and thereafter should increase the chanting. But if somebody does the ultimate thing on the very first day, that means it is a little difficult. And we should know that immediately upon receiving Diksha, temporary and newfound enthusiasm quietly concludes that he has become a scholar worthy of everyone's praise. That means if somebody has taken initiation, he is on the top of the world and he knows everything and he has got the the mercy of his spiritual master and all his sins will be destroyed. No, this is not the correct thing. This is not the correct thing, as Prabhuji has already explained. In ISKCON, they give a minimum 1 year, but generally it is more than 1 year for the next second initiation to come, because one has to stabilize. And when one is taking Diksha, actually he should be chanting 16 rounds a day, there is no doubt about it. But one should not think that all my sins have been burned to ashes and I am totally free, I am totally liberated. That cannot happen. It takes a lot of time because all the anarthas are there with us from our so many billions of lifetimes, and it will take some time for them to go. And the second thing is in text 7, Ghana Tarala, or thick and thin or irresolute endeavor. In this stage of Bhajan Kriya, the devotees' efforts are either Ghana or thick, that is intense, or Tarala or thin, that is slack. Now, this is very, very important, because you will not get everything in one go, and the things will be moving gradually only. It is stated that it is called Ghanatarala, how it is described. Sometimes the devotee, he studies very intensely, and sometimes he cannot grasp the subject matter or derive any taste out of it. Like one is chanting, he will not get the taste after some time. And this is very, very natural, and this is happening because of our anarthas. Now, you have to keep on chanting, you have to keep on studying the scriptures, even if you do not understand. Like we are told to study the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, you read them even if you do not understand. You read the verse, the meaning and the purpose, and something will go into you. There is no doubt in it. Therefore, one has to do everything, perform his limbs of devotion very practically, and still then there will be some obstacles only. Now, previously we spoke about the devotee's initial enthusiasm in his devotional service. Now, since the devotee's heart at that stage is full of anarthas or unwanted vices and impulses, which we will be studying from next class onwards, and how to get rid of them. They are very, very important classes which are coming but that we will know, because all these anarthas, they are hindering our progress in the devotional service. And this is the reason why the enthusiasm is not lasting for long. And it is simply and because of an initial curiosity that one is running full speed, and thereafter he will come to a halt only. And for this reason, the example given that a student in the elementary stage who thinks that he has become very, very erudite and he knows everything, but it is observed that he applies himself to his practice with remarkable diligence in the very beginning. But when the subject matter becomes complex, he cannot understand them. Then he loses interest, and the efforts they slacken. And at other times, but he does grasp concepts presented in the various scriptures, and therefore he gets encouraged to study. Like this Ganatarala means it is thick and thin. That means sometimes it is very good, and sometimes it is almost nil, or it is coming down. With this, let us go on to the next slide. Okay, this is and now since we are running out of time, and I do not require any rest, we'll go on to the next slide. The next is Vyudha Vikalpa, means oscillation between the resolve and doubt, how the doubts are coming into the mind. Now, after taking Diksha, the devotee cannot firmly decide whether to remain in the household life and do bhajan kriya, or abandon all worldly ties, go to Vrindavana and perform bhajan there. In essence, he wavers in his mind between resolve and doubt. Is it proper for me to renounce everything in my old age and not my youth? All these doubts, they come in. But please remember that there is no reason for any such doubt to come in the mind, because in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Lord has, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said very, very clearly, you stay where you are and keep on taking the name of the Lord, do your normal service to the Lord, but very, very sincerely. One does not have to abandon anything. One does not have to go to Vrindavana or even to the Himalayas. There is no requirement at all. And in the age of Kali, it is chanting, chanting, and chanting. Now, then the next point is the woman created by the Lord is the representation of Maya, and one who associates with such Maya by accepting services must certainly know that this is the way to death, just like a blind well covered with grass. This is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Just 1 second, I will. Now, what the word woman is for men and men for women, this is to be understood that way. These are given in the Shastras. But what actually it means? It actually means getting too much attached. The Lord, that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he also had a Grihastha life up till 24 years of age, 24 years of age. That means he is not forbidding us to accept the Grihastha life. One has to accept the Grihastha life. That is what is the way in Kali Yuga. But one has to follow what is given in the Shastras, what is taught by our Acharyas, and that is the way. And what it means that one should not get only engaged or engrossed in the family life and not look after the other aspect. That is what it means. And the next point is, while in the prime life, the great Maharaj Bharata gave up everything because he was fond of serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Uttama Sloka. He gave up his beautiful wife, nice children, great friends, and an enormous empire. He was the king, rather emperor of the complete earth. And although these things were very difficult to give up, Maharaj Bharata was so exalted that he gave them up just as one gives up stool after evacuating. And such was the greatness of his majesty. The example of Bharat Maharaj was given how he, in a very young age, he renounced everything and started doing bhajana. And you know what happened? He also had to fall down and take birth as a deer. And in the third life as Jadabharata, as the story is given in the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, next point, oh my poor elderly parents and my wife with a mere infant in her arms and my other young children, without me, they have absolutely no one to protect and will suffer unbearably. How can my poor relatives possibly live without me? Thus, because of his foolish mentality, a householder whose heart is overwhelmed by family attachment is never satisfied. Constantly meditating on his relatives, he dies and enters into the darkness of ignorance, given in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is about the householder, how he is so much engrossed in the family life that if he thinks that if he lives, if he dies, then the whole world will die. Whereas it is not so. Everybody has come with his own fate, own prarabdha, and one has to reap the harvest of that prarabdha only. That's why please accept that one has to do his duty and do his duty very, very sincerely. Look after your family members, look after everything. But at a particular stage, this attachment has to be lessened. It cannot be the same as it used to be many years back. That has to be understood. And the last point is bhakti does not arise from renunciation. Rather, true renunciation arises from bhakti and is therefore pure. That is, the devotional service is pure and renunciation, it comes out of it only. Yukta Vairagya is the key, as Vairagya is subservient to Bhakti. Vairagya is always subservient to Bhakti. Yukta Vairagya means you accept everything, but do Bhakti. Bhakti is, should be prominent in the life and not other things. If somebody thinks, okay, I will do everything else, and if I get some time, then I will do Bhakti, that is also all right, but that is not the ideal thing. And the main thing should be Bhakti only, but still one has to earn his living, one has to do so many other things in the society, that one can do, but one should keep Lord Krishna in the center every time and everywhere. And the devotee should remain in Grihastha ashrama if that is appropriate and beneficial. If somebody thinks he should be a brahmachari or a sannyasi, then he should take that path. But that path is also not so easy. Grihastha ashrama, that is a very easy ashrama. Unlike the Banaprasthas or sannyasis, because they are very, very difficult. In Grihastha ashrama, you get all the facilities, though there are many, many problems also, but still out of them, that is the, and please remember, Grihastha ashrama is the best ashrama. Most important ashrama is for the Vedic culture, because the Grihastha, he gives support to the other three ashramas. That is very, very important. But that may not be happening in this Kali Yuga. That is a different thing. But that is what is very important that we have to remember. Now, we have understood the stage of unsteady devotional service. Let us go on to the next slide. In the next slide, we'll see, just one second. Yeah. Now, Vishaya Sangraha or battling attachment to the objects of the senses. There are so many objects of the senses which come in our view every day, and we are very, very used to them, and we get attracted toward them, and that is one of the distractions. And for a person whose consciousness is absorbed in material sense object due to many past impressions in the consciousness, since time immemorial, things are already impressed, that is imprisoned in our mind, and they come up from time to time. That's why we get absorbed in material sense objects. We study the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and we know that they are not the correct thing, but still we get attached because of this reason. And it is extremely difficult to absorb his mind in Krishna, just as a man heading east cannot attain an object situated in the west. This example is given in the Vishnu Purana. And please remember that all these distractions are coming because of our past impressions, which are already in the mind. And because the subtle body, it moves from one body to the other. And what we did 100 lifetimes back or 1,000 lifetimes back, those impressions are already there. That's why these tendencies are there. We are likely to behave like that, though we do not remember any such thing in the past. But this is what is given in the scriptures. Now, having awakened faith in the narrations of my glories, being disgusted with all material activities, knowing that all sense gratification leads to misery, but still being unable to renounce all sense enjoyment, my devotee should remain happy and worship me with great faith and conviction. This is the only thing, only advice the Lord is giving. This is in the canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. One should be devoted to the Supreme Lord Krishna, and with great faith and conviction, devotional service, basically hearing and chanting of his name, Kirtana, and all those things we have been told. And even though he is sometimes engaged in sense enjoyment, my devotee knows that all sense gratification leads to miserable result, and he sincerely repents such activities. Though at times will come because of the past impressions, he will still get engaged in sense gratification, but after some time he will realize that that was not very correct, and he will repent such activities. And here in this connection, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he comments that the devotees derides worldly enjoyment while helplessly continuing to enjoy. Now he keeps on enjoying also, but he keeps on deriding those things also. That means he is in this stage where he is a little confused, and he doesn't know what is to be done. Now let us see Naishkarma Niyamas come on, the inability to uphold the vows. This is very, very important. Any vow which we have made, or it has been forced to us because of our initiation, because of our trying to become a Vaishnava, we should follow them to the end. We should not discard them at any stage for whatsoever reason. Now, the difference between Vishaya Sangraha and Niyama Kshama is that in Vishaya Sangraha, the devotee is unable to completely renounce material enjoyment, and in Niyama Kshama, he is unable to excel in sadhana or improve his performance of the practices of bhakti. This is the very clearly it brings out what is the difference between the two. Now, in this previous stage, Vishaya Sangraha, the practitioner, that is the devotee, resolves to renounce material sense enjoyment, but when the time comes to do so, he cannot due to various reasons. And in this stage of Niyamakshama, even though he tries to uphold his vows, of or self-imposed rules in an effort to further his devotion and improve his devotional standard, he is unable to do so. Now, this is a very important thing to understand because in the previous stage, Vishaya Sangraha, the practitioner resolves to renounce material sense enjoyment, but when the time comes, due to some reason because of the past impressions, he is not able to do so. But in the next stage, Niyamakshama, even though he is trying, but still not he is able to do his best. He is still not satisfied. Now the next thing is Taranga Rangini, that is delighting in the mundane benefits afforded. Now the all inhabitants of the world are satisfied with a person who has worshipped Sri Bhagavan, that is Lord Krishna or Vishnu. All moving and non-moving entities are attracted to him. It is given in the Padma Purana. Please remember that even non-moving entities, they are also attracted toward the Supreme Lord because the Supreme Lord is so attractive. Now, those who engage in devotional service to Sri Govinda easily attain astonishing mystic powers such as anima, lagima, like this, the power to become smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest, like this, their 8 siddhis. In other words, they attain material happiness, the happiness of liberation and eternal spiritual happiness. And now please remember that we have learned even if the Lord gives them to the devotee without any precondition, still then the devotee of Krishna, he renounces them. He does not want them because they are going to become obstacles in the path of devotional service. There is no other way. But those who engage in the devotional service of Lord Krishna, Sri Govinda, they, they will attend anything and everything. That means if somebody only does devotional service to the Lord and nothing else, it is the Lord's responsibility to fulfill all his desires. He will get everything, including the wealth, money, everything to sustain his life. For this, we have to have faith on the Lord and do our service as given in the scriptures and as told by the spiritual master. Then one will see that the Lord is fulfilling this. And I have heard this sentence from my spiritual master many a times, and this is very, very true. We have to have full faith on the spiritual master, on Krishna only, because the pure devotees want nothing from other than loving devotional service to Krishna, and they do not want any happiness related to wealth, worship, fame, material enjoyment, liberation, mystic powers, personal happiness, or any such thing. But they want only bhakti, that is the devotional service, loving devotional service to the Lord only. And the wealth, worship, and fame, they are like the parasitic creepers, and the devotees should not go toward that. And the one has been told, we should irrigate this plant by water of the devotees hearing and chanting only, and then only it is going to flourish, and pure devotion will surface, and it will prevent from anything else growing in that area, and the plant will be very, very healthy. Therefore, it is necessary that the devotee should follow all these instructions very, very sincerely. And this is also given very, very clearly by Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Let us go on to the next slide. Okay. I have finished and the time is also up. Okay, now the session is open for any comments or questions by any of the devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, Charu Prabhu, and you, Sharat Prabhu, okay, for the wonderful discussion session and very wonderful slides, Prabhu. I just have one question, Prabhu. On the last few slides, you have non-living things attraction towards Krishna, but that I am not understood, Prabhu. That is basically non-living things like anything is love, okay, stone, okay, or example stone. So it doesn't have a soul. So how do you understand, Prabhu? It has attraction towards Krishna.
Okay, you
Yeah,
see,
I understand that we should not insult anyone, anything, even non-living things. Also, we should not insult. Okay, but yeah, attraction I'm not understood. Thank you, Prabhu. Sorry,
okay,
Prabhu.
okay, what is given in the Shastra, you see, everything has been created by the Supreme Lord for a purpose. And as we know, the Kiradoksai Vishnu, he lives, that is the Supreme Lord, lives in each and every object, whether living or non-living. He is living in us, the jivas, the demigods, they are also jivas, and the plants, insects, everything, and even in the stones or anything we can see which do not have life form, there also. And how should be the vision of a devotee? The vision of a devotee sees the Lord everywhere. Like you would have heard many stories about the devotees, how they see the Lord even in fire, even in the ghost, anything and everything they see. That means there are various stages of this experiencing the Lord. Like one is in the dream. First thing is in the dream. If we reach up to that level, then the first thing is you will see the Lord in dream, like Narada Muni, when he was a child, how his mother died. Thereafter, he moved, he was moving, then he came under a tree, and then he dozed off. Then the Lord came in his heart and instructed him something. Like the Lord will come that way. Then the next thing will happen how? Next thing after coming, then when the devotee is meditating, the Lord will be seen, like how he was made visible to Prahlad Maharaj, like that. Then in the third stage, personally, physically, he will come in front of the devotee. But that is also not the final stage. Like in case of Namadev, even if he was talking with the Lord, he was interacting with the Supreme Lord one to one, still then the perfection was not there. That's why the Lord ordered him. There is a story I am not telling you now. The Lord asked him to accept a Siksha Guru, and how he went and found one, and at the end he could see the Lord in a dog. He could see the Lord in the flames of the fire. He could see the Lord in the ghost. Like this, he could see the Lord everywhere. And that is the final stage. How he is seeing? Because the Lord is there. That's why he is seeing. And since the Lord is there, Lord there means in a stone means that is also alive. Like suppose you focus a camera for millions of years on one stone only, which may not be practically possible, but I have read in the scientific books also that after some time you will find even the stone is moving. Everything has got life, even if we are not able to see. That's how I understand. That means we should, the learning is, we should see the Lord in everything, anything and everything. That is our ultimate, that should be our ultimate aim. I hope to some extent I have answered your question.
Okay. So what we are trying to say is like it doesn't matter whether it is a living or non-living. It is like every atom. Okay, is a kind of attraction towards Krishna. Something like that we need to understand. Prabhu. Yeah, in a nutshell.
Everything is actually everything, every creation in this universe, it is attracted to Krishna. Now,
Oh.
now then one will think why we are not attracted to Krishna, or very many people. It is because of our ego, false ego, our previous impressions, and we are not, and that is how Maya is ruling us. And once we leave that, then Maya will go away and we'll be free totally. That is how it should be understood.
Okay, Prabhu. Understood. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Rajiv Prabhuji.
Pranam Prabhu, thank you so much for a wonderful class. Dandavad Pranam to Charu Prabhu also. Prabhu, I have a question. This question asked.
More.
Can you hear me, Prabhu?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly now.
Yeah, I mean, this question asked in the yesterday's program.
Yeah.
We are talking about the karmas, all the stuffs, the material, lesson number 4, session 4, material nature, time and karma. So it is quite related to today's topic, like prarabdha karmas, all this stuff what we talked. Like the devotee's question is, what about the other religion? Now the Kerala story is becoming a big hot in India and other part of the countries. What about those people? Do you think that because of their prarabdha karma, they are suffering like that? What? Because ultimately, bhaktyaatvam ananyasakya aham evam ido Arjuna. Only the bhakti only we are able to understand. You also explained very nicely. But when that stage is coming about the other religions people, so in their level, so that is their religion is the best. So could you please elaborate on this one, Prabhu? Because ultimately, without Krishna Bhakti, people can't cross this material ocean. So how we can take this one, Prabhu? Is it that Sukruti, unless we got the Sukruti, they have to wait, or how it is going to work, Prabhu? Could you please give your insight? Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. As we discussed yesterday, all these papas, that is the prarabdha, aprarabdha, kutam, bijam, all these things are there. And what actually is happening, our anarthas, they are the major obstacles. They are not allowing us to move forward. Now the sins, they are not very serious. They can go away like anything. Sins means what? Somebody kills a human being, kills animals, like this. There are so many sins you all know. They are very easily eradicated. There is no problem about them. Now, how it happens, as we have said, when one comes to the path of bhakti. But how one enters into the path of bhakti, one should have some Agyata Sukruti. That means some pious activity. How? For example, what? Suppose somebody does not know the name of Krishna or about devotional service, he does not believe, but what is happening, one kirtan party is going, or some kirtan is taking place in the, say, one is seeing in the TV, and they are chanting, say, Hare Krishna Mahamantra or something, the name of Govinda, something, and he also chants. Like what happened when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born, on that day, everybody in the Navadip Dhama, they were chanting the name of the Lord, and even the people from the other caste, the Muslims and others, they also jokingly they started chanting the name of the Lord. Now like this, these are the Ajnata Sukruti. And if that happens, then one comes on this path. Now, originally, you see, originally we were not like that. But in some point of time, time immemorial, that time one cannot say what it was. We forgot Krishna. We did not repose any faith on him, and that's how Maya totally controlled us. But after that, what happened? Due to some Ajnata Sakriti, in some birth, not even in this birth, in some birth, we came into this path, and even in this birth, we can see very, very clearly amongst all of us that we are discussing about the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and all other things. We are associating with the devotees. We are hearing from the devotees their opinions and like this, because we have come in the path. That means one has to, the beginning is Ajnata Sukruti only. And with that one comes in this path, and thereafter many lifetimes will go like this only. But if we resolve to go back to the spiritual world even in this life, that is highly possible, that is highly probable, and there should be no doubt about it. And for that, we have to follow the Shastras, we have to follow the Acharyas, we have to follow our spiritual master, and we have to practice this very, very sincerely. Not that we have to do everything else, and if there is some time, I will practice bhakti, and if I just chant 16 rounds a day, that is enough. No, this is not enough. 16 rounds is just minimum. You should chant as much as possible and should make it a habit to even chant when you are eating, when you are drinking, when you are doing any other thing also. The Lord should always come in the mind. And if that is there, then we will be fully Krishna conscious, and we will be seeing Krishna everywhere in all our activities. Even while we are sleeping, we will see Krishna in that. And that you know what is going to be the effect even if we die. Then we will certainly 100% without any doubt we will go to the spiritual world. That means we have to keep on doing this sincerely. I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, Prabhu, thank you so much. I mean, basically, yes, Prabhu, we have to take it serious. For the other people, I mean, that Agyata Sukruti, when it is bank balance is full, then only they will, with the Lord's mercy, they will have a chance to get to the Krishna consciousness in one point of a time. Is that, can we take Prabhu? Because 7.28 also say that Yesham to antagate papam jananam punya karma. Until unless we clear our papa karmas in the previous life, present life, people can't come to a Krishna Bhakti, can't practice Krishna Bhakti. So is that way we can take it, Prabhu, until unless the so-called some other religions.
Okay,
So
okay.
like Ajnana, so by mistakenly also hear the Lord's name, taking the prasadam, some by mistakenly. So this way they can build their sukruti, then one day they are able to either this janma or next janma, they will get the Lord's mercy, they will get the chance to practice Krishna consciousness. Is that you are taking, Prabhu? Can we take this way?
Yes, I will interpret it in a little different way. Even if we have got the offenses, we have got so many sins, prarabdha and all these things, still then we have to practice this devotional service, basically Sravana Kirtana. And in this, at the end, when we are totally devoid of all these sins and these anarthas, then we will go to the spiritual world. Now what is happening after you have taken initiation, after 1 year, what has happened? By the mercy of the spiritual master, by the mercy of Krishna, all the karmas, they are nullified. But the anarthas, they are still there. The spiritual master also does not have the power to burn these anarthas, aparadhas, that's why we are stressing very, very important are the eradicating these aparadhas like Ajamila, how he just took the name of his son, not Lord Krishna's or Vishnu's, when at the time of his name giving ceremony, and at that time he was totally liberated. And because of that, he was able to remember the Lord when the Yamadutas came. And that's how immediately he took the name of Narayana, and the Vishnu Dutas came and they ran away. And but he was liberated much before that. And then he was given time to eradicate all the anarthas in him. But unfortunately, he had no aparadhas in his account. But unfortunately, we all have aparadhas in our account also. And knowingly or unknowingly, we commit them. We learn about them in our subsequent lessons. I'll give you a very common example. Like suppose there are hundreds of people going, say in Vrindavan or Navadip or anywhere else. And if somebody is in the garb of a say sannyasi or devotee, or he is wearing the dress of a say sannyasi, one may think, okay, in this Kali Yuga, there are so many people, they just try to wear this dress and do this thing, that thing, and they are cheating the people. They are so many thoughts come to us, and that becomes a aparadha. Now, we have no reason to think about that. What should be in our mind? We should accept that anybody, if he has got any signs of a Vaishnava, like the Tulasi Mala, or that is the Kanthi Mala, or the Tilaka, or anything, or the dress, anything from our side, he is a Vaishnava. We should not take him that he is not a Vaishnava. And what about others? There are many people who do not actually behave like a Vaishnava only, but there are examples, they are top class Vaishnavas. And there are examples in Chaitanya Charitamrita also. That's why in our thinking, we should accept that everybody except me is a Vaishnava. You should not think yourself as a Vaishnava, because as it is, you do not have the 26 qualities. And I have read the Gaur Govind Maharaj in his books, he has clearly said that you are doomed if you think you are a Vaishnava, because then the pride will come into you, and so many things will, impurities will come into you. That's why you should never think that you are a Vaishnava. You should always think that I am trying to become a Vaishnava. I am trying to follow these things. But everybody else is a Vaishnava. You take, for example, you ask any sannyasi, you ask your spiritual master, Guru Maharaj, he will say the same thing. He will say, I am not a Vaishnava, everybody else is a top class Vaishnava, because I do not have this quality, that quality, that quality. He will count so many of them. And it is how, why it is so? Because it is of his humility. But actually, we do not have so many qualities. You see, out of these 26 qualities we also spoke yesterday, we do not have so many qualities. That's why there is no point for us to think that we are actually the pure Vaishnavas. But we are trying to follow this path. That's why we are doing. We are doing the chanting. We are also involved in hearing. And that's how we have come into this path. And that is how one should show his humbleness. Actually, that is true. It is not because of humbleness I am saying, but because actually it is true. We lack so many qualities of the Vaishnava. Like, see, all these 6 enemies, Kama, Krodha and all that, have we discarded them totally? No. Then how can we say we are pure Vaishnavas and all that? We cannot say. That's why we have to accept that everybody else is a Vaishnava. And that's how we'll be avoiding all these aparadhas. And like this, there are so many aparadhas, and criticizing somebody, then you may say, if somebody, some other person has committed a mistake in front of me, why shouldn't I criticize? All these things we'll discuss in the Vaishnava Aparadha in lesson 12, which is coming next weekend, and everything will be clear. So this is what is to be kept in our mind. I hope I have answered your question, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Thanks for your explanation. Hare Krishna.
Any other question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for so wonderful class, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, enthusiasm and over enthusiasm में कितना फर्क होता है प्रभुजी? हमें sometimes मालूम नहीं पड़ता है कि हम over enthusiasm हो गया, कि enthusiasm है, वो कैसे पता चले कि हम over confidence हो गया है हमें? Sometimes नहीं मालूम पड़ता है प्रभुजी, तो कैसे उसका symptoms क्या है प्रभुजी?
Well, yes, you are very, very correct. It is very difficult for us to judge that also. That's why what is said, the basic simple principle we should follow, even whether we like or not like, whether the test is coming or not coming, whether there is any problem or no problem, we should keep on chanting the name of the Lord, and that chanting should be pure. And as Haridas Thakur has said, if somebody chants the name of Krishna even once only, then all our sins will get destroyed. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he answered the question of the residents of Kulina Grama 3 times in 3 consecutive years, that anybody who is just chanting the name of the first year, he said, somebody asked him, who is a Vaishnava? He said, anybody who has chanted the name of the Lord even once. Okay, the next year, somebody asked the same question, who is a Vaishnava? He said, anybody who is always chanting the name of the Lord. And in the 3rd year, somebody asked him the same question, who is a Vaishnava? He answered, if somebody sees a person and starts chanting, then that person is a Vaishnava. Like this, but what is the gist? That means one who is chanting the name of the Lord, that we should always chant the name of the Lord, follow all these principles, all these things which we have been told, and things will be clear, because the ups and downs will always come in our life. There is no doubt in that, but we should not care for them at all. That is what is my understanding.
ओके प्रभुजी, दूसरा भी एक क्वेश्चन ऐसा था कि अगर हमारे घर में से परमिशन नहीं देते हैं कि दीक्षा के लिए, तो फिर हमारी भक्ति आगे बढ़ सकती है कि नहीं बढ़ सकती है? क्योंकि विदाउट इनिशिएशन इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल, तो क्या करें प्रभुजी?
Okay, regarding Diksha, you see, that will come at the correct time as Krishna has planned. Like I was giving the example yesterday, even Srila Prabhupada had to wait 11 years. The first time he met his spiritual master, and the initiation he took, it was a gap of 11 years. And if 11 years can be there for him, for us it can be any number of years. That's why you keep on chanting, you do all these things, it will come in its own time. Just don't bother about that. But when Krishna wants, that will happen, that will 100% happen. There should be no doubt about that. Many of the devotees amongst us also, they would have waited many years. There should be no problem in that. That will come. We should do chanting of the Lord's name and follow all the other rules and regulations and do our devotional service. And as we have been told again and again, the most important are Sravana Kirtana. But keep on doing them, and that stage will come, that day will come, and one will be initiated. There is no doubt about it. I hope I have answered your question,
थैंक यू
Madhurya.
सो मच। प्रभु जी मगर इच्छा तो रख सकते हैं ना कि मैं फ्यूचर में लूंगा, हम इनिशिएशन ले लेंगे, ऐसे इच्छा रख सकते हैं ना?
Yes, yes, yes. That is spiritual wish, and that is totally permitted. It is not a material thing. That's why one should keep on expecting. So that will happen. That will come, and that will come very soon. You will see. There is no doubt about it.
थैंक यू सो मच प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna. Any other question or any other comments? If we do not have any other comments or questions, then we'll conclude today's class with the Nrsinga prayers, and I will request Sagar Prabhuji to do the needful.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obsession. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlada Ladai. Prahlada Ladai. Rani Kashi Purvachar. Rani Kashi Purvachar. Chilatankar Nathali. Chilatankar Nathali. Ito Narsingha. Ito Narsingha. Ito Narsingha. Ito Narsingha. Ito Yami. Ito Narsingha. Ito Yami. Ito Narsingha. My Narsingha. Narsingha. My Narsingha. Narsingha. Narsingha Madin Saranam. Narsingha Madin Saranam Prabhade. Bagala Kamala Bhare. Nakhat Bhuta Singham. Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanabringam. Kesavadhita Narani Rupa. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Bakala Kamala Bhare. Nakhat Bhuta Singham. Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam. Kesavadhita Narani. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. नरसिंह भगवान की जय, भक्त प्रहलाद महाराज की जय, श्री प्रपात की जय, चारू प्रभु की जय, शरद प्रभु की जय, गुरुदेव की जय, ऑल assembled devotee की जय। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji, thank you very much. One more point I want to tell. We'll be basically studying about the anarthas, aparadhas and all that. Therefore, I request all of you to go through the 10 namaparadhas which are given in Padma Purana, because in various books you will see the sequence differently. But what is given in the Padma Purana, actually there was no time today. Otherwise, I would have covered. I will cover them in the next class also in the beginning. This 10 namaparadhas, and if I say 1 and 7 or 3, 5 and 8, like this, you should be able to remember which are these. If we just give the numbers and if not describe them, that means you should be very clear about these 10 nama pravas and how they are committed, and if committed, how they are to be eradicated. All these things we will be discussing in our series of classes, the 8 classes, 11 to 18. And please get all your doubts cleared that time, because this is the basic thing which is hindering us from progressing in the path of devotional service. Hare Krishna, thank you very much. All glories to the assembled devotees. We'll meet next weekend, next Friday, Saturday and Sunday. for the lessons on aparadhas, that is Anartha Nivrati. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very
Hare
much. sir.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank
Hare
you
Krishna,
so
Prabhu.
much.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sanjay Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Sanjay Prabhu.